9/11, the U.S. have drastically increased their national security. According to the FBI's website, the FBI is committed to remaining agile in its approach to the terrorism threat, which has continued to evolve significantly since the September 11th terror attacks on U.S. soil. The threat landscape has expanded considerably, though it is important to note that the more traditional threat posed by al-Qaeda and its affiliates is still present and active. After 9/11, people were noticing how much of a threat terrorism actually is. With the different terror organizations arising, the most recognized being al-Qaeda and ISIS, modern technology has allowed these terrorists to spread their message of committing jihad, which in Islam means a struggle or fight, but Islamic radicals use the term as a justification for their actions. With 414 terrorism cases in the U.S. since 9/11, only 7 of them have been charged outside the U.S., meaning keeping terrorists out has been an issue. As a result of the rise of terrorism over the years, it is necessary for the government to be able to invade privacy to save U.S. lives while securing the rights of U.S. citizens. The Patriot Act was created after 9/11 to decrease the restrictions on surveillance, and the act promoted the CIA and FBI to share their intelligence information on terror. There has been a lot of controversy surrounding the act, considering it allows the U.S. government to conduct surveillance on suspected terrorists with not much evidence to show for it. Many people think it goes against the First and Fourth Amendment rights of U.S. citizens. Also, people believe that it will be used for criminal cases as well as terrorist cases. Although these people are entitled to their rights as U.S. citizens, events like 9/11 cannot happen again because the severity of the event still affects people today through the loss of loved ones and the cost of repairing damages. It is better to give up a little bit of privacy that could end up saving your life than retaining your privacy and have your life be at risk. As a solution to the problems about the Patriot Act, the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, otherwise known as FISA, has a minimization requirement that limits the amount of information that can be used against U.S. citizens to prevent the use of intelligence information in criminal investigations. FISA makes sure that the use of privacy invasion is only for terror threats who pose a risk to national security and not criminals. This aspect of FISA actually gives U.S. citizens more privacy, since if a criminal act is committed, people are protected from the invasion of privacy that the Patriot Act creates. Similar to the Patriot Act, FISA allows the use of wiretaps and cameras against the foreign threat, but the FISA court, which consists of 7 judges, has to approve of all counterintelligence warrants. They ensure that the target is a foreign power and needs extensive investigation that normal investigation techniques cannot achieve. Even more extensive security for U.S. citizens. If a U.S. citizen is being investigated, the judges confirm whether the threat is in correlation with a foreign power that is attempting to commit acts of terror. Warrants are generally passed as quickly as possible, since the terror threats need to be stopped as soon as they can. By having the FISA court set in place, the rights of U.S. citizens are protected, since judges can deny a warrant that could be unnecessary or a false invasion of privacy. The JTTF, or the Joint Terrorism Task Force, is sent to collect intelligence and make arrests on terrorists. They are also allowed to conduct any search as long as it is allowed by FISA. Many of these investigative tactics involve wiretaps and cameras. One of the main cases FISA was used for was an al-Qaeda suicide bomber, Najibullah Zazi, and his co-conspirators who wanted to bomb multiple parts of New York City. But thanks to FISA, the JTTF was able to stop Zazi and his co-conspirators by placing wiretaps and cameras. As well as finding his bomb-making notes after they copied his computer data onto a hard drive, the JTTF even had FBI investigators search his car by taking it apart and putting it back together before Zazi got back to his apartment. FISA has allowed the JTTF to be able to identify Zazi as a terrorist and make the arrest. Having FISA is crucial since it allows investigators to quickly investigate and make arrests as soon as possible. If FISA did not exist, Zazi could have been able to carry out his attack that would have been parallel to 9/11 and have mass casualties. The TSA, or Transportation Security Administration, might make you have to get to the airport earlier, but they only want to make American citizens feel safe when on their flights. The TSA is the primary defense against terror attacks similar to 9/11. According to the TSA's website, the TSA uses millimeter scanners to detect metal and non-metal objects that could pose a threat. Even the TSA has privacy guidelines that states millimeter scanners can only detect the region of a weapon or explosive on a universal outline of a person. This meaning people's personal images are not being saved and anything else that isn't on them that doesn't pose a threat is invisible to the scanner. Also, the TSA requires people to remove large electronic devices such as laptops and game consoles to make sure there are no hidden bombs. It is also prohibited to have liquids over 3.4 ounces to ensure that no liquid bombs get on flights. The TSA creates a safe and private environment for passengers by not saving any passenger data from their scanners. Former NSA worker Edward Snowden released information about the surveillance and invasion of privacy. According to Biography and Context, Snowden exposed government surveillance tactics and the NSA's PRISM program, which allowed the government to conduct surveillance in real time. Snowden's objective was to show people the government's capabilities and how they can be watched at any minute. Although the information Snowden presents is correct, it is geared towards the terrorist demographic and not the innocent U.S. citizen. The government wants to be able to conduct real-time surveillance to make sure they know how much progress terrorists make or when they will attack. In a 2016 federal court case, the FBI ordered Apple to unlock an iPhone that contained terrorist information. Apple challenged the FBI's order because they want to ensure the privacy of iPhones, but this causes trouble for the FBI since they cannot get important intel to prevent the death of U.S. citizens. Apple wants to protect their reputation, but they are not protecting U.S. national security since they are hiding information that can help the government make an arrest on terrorists. In a survey from Shiva Maniam at the Pew Research Center in December 2016, 56% of Americans were more concerned that the government's anti-terror policies have not gone far enough to protect the country, compared with 28% who expressed the concern that the policies have gone too far in restricting the average person's civil freedoms. But just 2 years earlier, after Snowden released the classified government information, Moore said the bigger concern was that anti-terror programs had gone too far in restricting civil liberties, rather than going not far enough in protecting the country. This survey shows how people would rather have their safety put before their privacy because of the increase in terror attacks over the years. Snowden had the media influence people's decisions whether the government was going too far, but after terrorism began to grow as a bigger problem, people began to realize that the surveillance that the government conducts is necessary to prevent attacks. In the 21st century, information is easily accessed, making people have a lot less privacy. Also, knowing the government can have access to your information can be scary. A major misconception is that the government wants to watch what everybody does, but the government doesn't really care about what movies you watch or what clothes you buy. They just want to protect citizens by using all the information that can be accessed by modern technology.